Welcome to Getting It Done, a podcast about music, education, and life lessons. I'm your host, Tim Rausenberger. Today is Thursday, August 29th, 2019. This is episode 310, Classroom Management, Rules, and Respect. Hello to everyone out there, and happy final Thursday for what most of you is your summer. And it's great to see all of you here. I know a lot of people are very, very excited about coming back to reality and coming back to school in a few short days for many of the students in the state of New Jersey. And for the rest of you around the country, you're probably already in school. Hopefully this episode is going to be helpful to you in some way, shape, or form. So welcome and thank you for joining me this evening. I want to say a quick hello to all the wonderful Getting It Doners who are already participating in the chat. Make sure to get involved over there with the chat. I only see 3 thumbs up. Are you kidding me right now? How about a nice big thumbs up for that episode? Let's take care of that. Make sure that happens when the episode's all over. If you can put some comments in there, I'd really appreciate it. If this is your first time being here, make sure to smash that subscribe button, because you know what? As long as you're a subscriber and you get involved in that chat, we got a $15 Amazon gift card on the way to some random person tonight, because we have this magical thing that we do when we take everything in the chat and we just give away stuff. You know why? Because we can. That's what we can do here at Getting It Done. So a big hello to Jared Penn. Great to see you. The Duck of Watermelons, Watermelon Duck, is back here. I cannot read any type of Korean or Japanese, but welcome. Thank you so much for joining us, the Korean/Japanese person who is in the chat. We have Vix Prestige. I don't know who that is, but you know what, though? I'm really, really happy you're here. Great to see you. I do know Blue Stripe Tiger, and it is nice to see that you said that you are setting up your room. So that means that you're getting ready to get it done next week in the amazing way that you do every day with your students. Esther Almanzar, who was getting very impatient with the delay, very, very impatient. But she's back again. She's here to join us again. Let's see who else we have in the chat here tonight. Dilma is here. Hello to Dilma. Let's kind of scroll down a little bit. We have the Let's Do This. I love the Let's Do This. That's such a cool name. A Tinting V is back. Great to see a Tinting V in here. And I think I've hit just about everyone. So if there are people that you know who should be in here right now, you should be. What else do you have to do tonight? You don't have anything to do. Okay, you're relaxing, just kind of chilling a little bit here. And you know what you need to be doing? You need to be hanging out here, having a great time, feeling the blazer. Thank you very much. Trying to go a little bit classier there. You know what I'm saying? So yeah, and what I'm doing here, these headphones are amazing. I can't remember the make, but I know I got them on Amazon. They were like $20 or so. And what's really cool is they've got this it's like this I don't know what the material is exactly, but the cord just doesn't get tangled, and it's very, very strong. Like the cord just cannot break. And my other headphones, they're around. Right now I'm moving a lot of things in different types of places, and to be perfectly honest with you, I don't know where the heck they are at the moment. But you know what? It gave me a good excuse to try these out tonight, and you know what? I just sound amazing. That's just all it is. I just sound incredible. So thank you so much for joining me tonight for this episode. We're going to be discussing classroom management, talking about discipline in the classroom, overall respect, rules. And a lot of the students are in here. They're like, oh my goodness, this is going to be about things for teachers. but I think you're going to really enjoy this episode. And what my hope is you're going to take something away from it that you're going to be able to use, if not now in your life, you'll be able to use down the road. So with that said, we're going to get right to it here. My first question that I have for everybody in the chats is, when you think of classroom management in terms of you walk into any type of classroom, it doesn't matter what the class is. It could be a math class, it could be ELA, it could be some type of an elective like a music or an art or a dance class, perhaps it's phys ed. What is it like when you're in a structured environment and in a classroom, to you as a student, or when you were a student? What do you want to see? What are the types of feelings that you want to have, especially in those initial days where you are a new student in a particular grade? Of course, you might be a new student to a school. You're walking in that classroom for the first time. What goes through your mind, and what are you looking for? What are the things that are important to you that relate to classroom management and all the rules and things that might relate to respect? Can you type those into the chat? Just take a moment here, because I got to be really honest with you. Today was a very, very long day. It was a long day for a lot of people over here in the chat. We were all getting it done the whole day today, and I didn't get a chance to eat at all. And you know what? I had to bring this along with me. I just had to. It is. Let's see if I can kind of turn this without dumping it all over the place. We got a little bit of salmon going on here, a little bit of seafood happening. So I'm just going to chat out a little bit, because you know what? Well, I can. So I'm just going to do that while you're in the process of typing here. And instead of just me rambling, and I will promise not to. Sorry, I won't do that again. Okay. And I know that really bothers Alice quite a bit. She gets very, very, very upset with me when I do that. But you know what? Just because it actually does bother her that much. Here we go. Here it comes. That's some good stuff. That's some really, really good stuff. A little bit ASMR. They got nothing on me. You know why? Because they don't have hair like me. I mean, look at that. Come on. Amazing, isn't it? I'm going to be getting the fade going on, by the way, too. Got that going on over the weekend. So, all right. Give you another 30 seconds or so. Let's type some things in the chat, and then get back to business here, as they say. Again, if you're just joining us, what we're typing in the chat, we're looking for anything that you see as a student. You're walking into a classroom for the very first time, or you can think back to when you were a student. You're walking in the classroom for the very first time, or the first week of class. In terms of classroom expectations, classroom management, what do you want to see as a student? What's important to you? What are the things that matter to you in terms of how the classroom is going to potentially be run by the teacher? What are the things that mean the most to you as a student? And you can even put the things in here that are not important, that unfortunately some teachers do tend to focus on, and the focus is not where it should be. And this is great because we have a combination here of adults who are just parents. There are other people who just are maybe just tuning into the podcast. They felt like checking it out. Professionals in the field. There are teachers there who are in the chat right now, and then of course we have students. So this combination will be really, really fabulous. Let's see what we have here. By the way, let's do this. What am I wearing? Classy stuff. Okay, we got to keep it classy here. We got this gray. I don't know what they call it. Heather gray. I think that's what it is. Little sport coat going on here. Got the nice black button down shirt here. Trying to look good. You know, I'm trying to look good. I got to make up for some other things here. The hair, I think the hair is doing it. So, okay. saw something about waffle and bubble. That was nice. I haven't been to that waffle and bubble place. Haven't been there yet. Okay. Dominican salon. Fantastic. The teacher will help students as much as they can. Okay. Mr. R get waves. Oh, that's not happening. I'm not getting waves. Grown man, not happening. Okay. All right. So let's see what we have so far. Okay. So first thing, Esther is always coming through. She always has some wonderful insight. How the teacher is, what type of attitude the teacher represents, good attitude, motivation, joy. Okay. And she's happy to watch me eat. Thank you. Okay. Attenting, how the teacher teaches, and just overall how the classroom ASMR. Oh, classroom is. The next thing it typed was ASMR. That would be pretty cool. Can you imagine walking into a classroom and the teacher says, "Welcome." Oh, I'm having entirely too much fun. I love having a podcast. It's just the best. Okay, so get a little bit more serious here. Okay, let's see. Jared, attitude of the teacher, first impression of the teacher, and honestly, got very nervous about what other students were in the class for focus reasons. So concerns about just kind of scanning the room and seeing who the other teachers, the other students were in the room. I'm worried about potentially being focused because of the people who were in the room. Hello to Mark and hello to Mabel. Great to see you. Thank you for joining us here tonight. Wonderful to see you. Again, if you're out there, best way I'm going to be able to know that you're there is just by saying a quick hello. Not hard to do. Don't be shy. Get involved in the chat. Blue Stripe. Let's see what Blue Stripe's got. Like when the teacher gave the syllabus. A syllabus, of course, has to do with, it's a course description. It describes the entire class in detail. Talked about what the course would be like and what we could expect. The project, the papers, no surprises, that everything is told to the student up front. Fabulous. Really, really great stuff. Let's see. Boycott that classroom. Oh, boycott the classroom, I guess, in terms of the food. Okay. All right. Okay. Okay. And one last thing here. Okay. I look at the teacher first. If they are engaged in their class, I look at the style of the teaching methods, and I also look at the students and just the vibe. So isn't that fascinating? So are there a lot of you out there who it's just as important for you in the class, or maybe more important for you than just the teacher, but kind of scanning the class and just taking a look at who the people you're going to be with are all year? Is that something that's extremely important to you? I'm kind of curious to get a little bit of feedback before I proceed. And then, because I'd like to jump on that and I'd like to address that. I think it's really, really important. I won't do the ASMR thing this time. My last little swig here, because I'm going to let you answer, and then go into full-blown discussion having to do with classroom management and such. Hey, this is very, very good. I will tell you that we definitely do have a Getting It Done in the Kitchen episode, which will be happening soon. I had some people that also suggested that I need to get it done in a supermarket. And I need to go shopping in a supermarket for food. Oh my goodness. I can't even imagine. I cannot imagine me walking through a supermarket with a film crew and I'm analyzing food. People say I should do this. Oh my goodness. I just can't take it. It's just terrific. Okay. So it looks like that's a very, very big deal. All right. So what I want to what I'm going to talk about here is a thank you, Natalia. Oh, thank you. Yes, really, with the suit, I got it going on. Yeah. All right. So, um, okay. So let's talk a little bit about some of these things and some of these concerns that you have, and I'd like to go through those first because you're the ones who tuned in tonight, and these are things that are going through your mind, and I can give you the responses that I have as a teacher. Again, we have quite a few people now watching the episode. If you have not given that thumbs up, please take care of that. Do that at this time. If you have not subscribed, you know you need to take care of that. And you obviously know that there are people that are around you who are not subscribers to the podcast. You need to let them know, hello, this is not hard. It's just as simple as hitting subscribe, and then we're good to go. So thank you for doing that in advance. We appreciate it. Okay, so let's go through some of these items that we have here. We're going to start off with Esther, and she says how the teacher is, what type of attitude the teacher represents, good attitude, motivation, and joy. So and as I do this, I'm going to make sure that everyone knows who made the comment, and more importantly, what grade or what level that person is at, or if they're not in that type of situation, not a student in a school right now, who they are, if I know who they are. So I can tell you that Esther is a high school student, and I do know Esther well enough to know that that the teacher makes a very, very big difference for her in the classroom. It's one of the reasons why you'll see what type of attitude the teacher represents, motivation and joy. I think that one thing, first of all, that you have to convey as a professional, not just as a teacher and not just in a classroom atmosphere, but as a professional, you need to be able to radiate passion. You need to be able to exhibit joy for whatever it is that you're doing in whatever walk of life. There's a chance that if you're going to be going into a field and you're going to be a professional, there's nothing worse than going into a meeting and the president, all right, sit down, you know, that type of attitude. No one wants that. And I even think where this past week, being a professional where I've been out on a football field and I've been teaching students in a marching band. And as I've been doing that, one of the things I even realized today, and I have to remind myself, is when I'm able to tell jokes, even if they are corny, or just be able to get a little bit off topic, it actually helps the students to focus a lot better. And that's something that I've always known from a psychological aspect, that if you're just too serious all the time and you don't have a sense of humor and you don't do things that make the students laugh, it really can hurt the entire class. For teachers out there, and this is something I guarantee the students who are in this chat are going to agree with this, how refreshing it would be in a 45-minute class if you could just be silly, just be goofy for 2 minutes. It doesn't take that much time, and it's going to make the rest of the class better. Classic example, we've had very, very, very long days, and I did this. I didn't completely plan it, but I definitely wanted to do it right in the middle of the day, just to completely break up the day. And it wasn't the monotony of the day. It was just, I wanted to just break up the day and just get a completely different mindset and get everybody's mind totally off of the task that we were doing at that particular time. Not just that individual task, but the broader picture. So if you're teaching a history class, instead of doing anything that has to do with history, then for just a minute or 2 minutes, you show something in there that might be culturally relevant. An example would be America's Got Talent. Now, that's a show that's extremely, extremely popular. It's appropriate, and it's a wonderful thing to be able to show the students. And a lot of those episodes can tug at heartstrings. And you watch it for 2, 3, 4 minutes, and then you just move on with your lesson. Now, you don't do this every single day, but you do it every once in a while just to break things up. I love to show motivational videos. Why? Because it can help certain students to be able to think about things that don't have to do with your class, don't have to even do with school. They just can get their mindset in a totally and completely different place. So if you do that, and if you're not going to be showing something like videos, then you're able to crack some jokes or just something really goofy right in the middle of class. Hey, what's your favorite food? I mean, you as a teacher can have so much fun in a classroom just by asking, "What's your favorite color? What's your favorite food?" And especially where I work, kids love talking about their favorite foods, and I love it because I wind up learning about foods that I am not too familiar with because I love Spanish food, and a lot of my students are Hispanic, and they are able to educate me on certain types of dishes, and then they will tell me what the dish is in Spanish, and then I will completely butcher the language, and it is what it is. But that's a real big thing. So if you go back to Esther's comment about the motivation and the joy and the good attitude, you're doing all of those things. You need to, as a teacher and as a professional, you need to make sure that the person knows that you're human. So it doesn't make it so, for lack of a better word, awkward if the student were to see you outside of the classroom, more specifically outside of the school, out on the street, going to your car, running into you at the mall, seeing you in the supermarket. That was always one of the strangest things for me when I would run into a teacher at the supermarket, and you'd say to yourself, wow, they eat. I mean, just crazy. And I've found more often than not that students don't necessarily find it weird when they've run into me in different places. Rather, they're just happy to run into me, and they don't think it's strange. Yes, obviously you're out of the classroom and it's unexpected, but it's not weird and it's not awkward. And if you can be as human as possible, that can happen. I've found over the course of my career that elementary teachers struggle with this very, very much. I will never understand why there's this need for so many elementary teachers, and I don't care what grade, I'm going all the way down to kindergarten, who feel this need to use this voice. Now, class, that voice doesn't work for anyone. I don't know who came up with the idea for that voice years ago, but it is ineffective. There's something about that always comes out as being very condescending. Don't use that voice. Don't be that person. You can certainly speak and be educating and be firm with certain types of things, but when you say, now, boys and girls, this is not the way that we act in class. Who wants to hear that? Just speak to them like human beings. And I know that, and this is going to strike a nerve with some people in the chat. It's the same type of thing that people will do when they speak to other people who may not have the best command of their particular language in that country. So in America, it's somebody that you're speaking to who doesn't have great command of the English language. And all of a sudden you're speaking to the other person, and you might, okay, to maybe slow down the words a little bit, one thing, but to say something really obnoxious like, would you like a cookie? And say it like that, that's condescending. It's rude. And I know that students do not like that. I think one of the reasons why I've been able to be successful in that way in the classroom is that I'm just myself. I am me in the classroom. The person that you're seeing here, that's how I am. I'm very, very professional with what I do. I take a lot of pride in what I do. And there is that fine line where you're not the friend of the students. And I'll say that to students. I'm not your friend, but I'm friendly. Very, very big difference. Very, very big difference. And you can certainly say that. And there's still some people that will still say, oh, well, that's, Mr. R is my best friend. And that's fine if they want to feel that way. But you're not friends with your students. You're friendly with students. So that's a great comment, and we got a lot out of that. So thank you, Esther. Tinting talks about how the teacher teaches and just overall how the classroom is. So how the teacher teaches, you're going to probably get a pretty good idea within the first 2 or 3 days how the teacher teaches, and it just has to do with the type of rapport, the way that they're communicating with the class, and how they're speaking to the class. You're going to get that vibe right away. You're going to have a pretty good idea what that teacher is going to be like, probably, well, in some cases, unfortunately, for the entire year, and how well they have control of their classroom, which we'll get into in a moment, speaking about those specific things. So that's a big thing. First impressions are extremely important. First impressions can make or break a lot of things. And if I think about particularly my situation, where over the course of my career, I'll only have students once a week. Well, if you don't have a good lesson and you don't have a good start, they only saw you one time, which means that it's going to be another 7 days or so before they're going to see you again. And that's a long time. It's even worse if you are doing, for instance, you're an instrumental music teacher and you're doing lessons once a week for students, and you have that blah personality, and you're not fun and you're not exciting, and you don't have that type of a gravitational pull where the students, they just want to be in that class. And especially if it's a volunteer thing where they're not forced to be there. Well, if they have a bad lesson, or they are not really enjoying that particular environment and they don't have to do it, some of them don't. And they'll just say, I'm going to quit. I don't want to go back. And when you lose them, it's very, very rare that they do come back. So it's a very, very big deal. And that's why when I have taught in elementary schools before, I've really made it a point to make every single class extremely, extremely special for the students. No different really than the podcast episodes. I like the fact that people look forward to the podcast episodes and how important they are to some of the people who are in this chat. But if I did them every single day, they would lose their staying power. So you're able to connect with me once a week on some type of topic where you can just let your mind go and not have to worry about the world as it is, and then just go from there. So these are a lot of things that a lot of people don't really think about, and they're absolutely things, unfortunately, a lot of them are not taught in college. People do not get the training in college that have to do with these issues. These are real life things, and why it's not being taught, I don't have an answer for that. I know that when I was in college, I was never taught a lot of the things I just threw. I was absolute most important things, and the makeup of the child and what he or she is thinking. That's why I'm going through this chat right now, because these are your students. These are students who are in your classes. And there are people in here who are adults and they're thinking back. So let's take a look at some of the other ones we have here. So Jared says, the attitude of teacher, first impression of teacher. And honestly, I really didn't think about this a lot. And it's interesting because so many people in the chat agreed. Got nervous about the other students, about who the other students were in the class, because he was having issues with his own focus, and was he going to have problems because there was that one student? And I don't need to ask anybody in the chat. We already know what the answer is going to be. When you have that one student who's in the class and you know the person is disruptive, and unfortunately, even some of the best teachers in the world, they may not be able to do anything. I know I had a terrible, terrible situation years ago. in a classroom where I had a student who, quite bluntly, should not have been in that particular class. He should have been placed in a different class altogether. So should have still had the music class, but he shouldn't have been in that particular class. And I know, and it breaks my heart that the students in that particular class lost a substantial amount of their music education for that year compared to other classes in that same grade, single-handedly because of that one individual. And sadly, I am sure you've had that one individual or two or three that, and it honestly is not their fault. This is where the student was placed. And with this particular student, I remember it was made me very angry because I had to wait a good 4 or 5 months before the appropriate decisions were made, where that student ultimately was taken out of that class and put into another class. But it took 4 or 5 months. It was ridiculous. And I had been saying things right from the very beginning. So please know that sometimes there are things that are beyond our control, and there's only so much that can be done in certain types of situations, particularly in public schools, where, quite honestly, everybody is entitled to receive a free education. And unfortunately, there are times where the students are not able to be placed where they need to be placed. So that can have an impact on the other students in the class. And is it fair? Well, of course we know it's not fair. And I think it's the first example of life isn't fair. Because here's the best way to think about it, my friends. Think about that student or students who are disruptive in class. They don't pull their weight in class. In other words, when it comes time to do the group project, and you know what I'm talking about right now, where there's 4 people in the group, and you know what winds up happening. You know where I'm going with this. One person winds up doing almost all the work, if not all the work, and the other 3 people do nothing. And how many times have we had that happen before? Probably more times than we would like to admit. And that's certainly not a fair situation. And that's one of the reasons why I've never been a huge fan of doing group projects. There was a paradigm shift that happened in education where a lot of people said, oh, it's great to do groups. So, well, I'm all for groups. But in terms of doing group projects, I know how that unfortunately can develop in classes where you have people that are not doing what they need to do. But students, again, who are not, like I was saying, that they're not pulling their weight, they're not behaving appropriately in the class. But here's the unfortunate reality. This is what happens in real life. In real life, wherever you work, there's always going to be someone who is not working as hard as you are. That's a guarantee. Absolute 100% guarantee. And unfortunately, some of those people are going to be making the same salary as you, maybe a little bit less, possibly significantly more. So, it's kind of a tough thing to say to someone who's a freshman in high school, well, treat this like the work world, but it really is true. And you have to figure out how you are going to be able to manage those personalities, and in terms of yourself, and how you are going to be able to overcome those situations. Now, I feel that it is the teacher's responsibility to be able to take some control over the situation to prevent a student from receiving their rightful education, which again, I'm going to be addressing after I get to these final things here. Okay. Okay, and I missed this one. I apologize. So classroom expectations are how the class is set up. Great. I appreciate this. This is my I apologize again, either Korean or Japanese. Classroom expectations are how the class is set. Is it straight by the book, or is it made up as it goes? Boy, that's a great comment. how aggravating it is when you have a teacher, you've walked into the classroom and the teacher has not made things crystal clear. You know what you do as a teacher then? You confuse the students. And to be perfectly honest, people do like discipline. I'm not saying, who likes discipline? No, people need discipline. That's the whole entire thing. People need structure. People deep down, everybody needs to have structure. Everybody needs to have discipline. Right now, there are a lot of people who they look back on their summer and they say, what did I even do? I didn't do anything. You know why? Because you had all this open free time. It was not structured. You were not disciplined. You wound up waking up at ungodly hours, late in the morning, early in the afternoon, because you stayed up until 4 o'clock in the morning doing whatever mindless things that you were doing. And we need to have some type of structure. Well, the classroom expectations there just for that exact reason. Thank you, Esther, for pointing out that there are no hairs sticking out this evening. Do we have any hair sticking out? I don't think so. So I appreciate that. I'm glad that that's not bothering you. Okay. Blue Stripe Tiger says, I liked it when the teacher gave the syllabus. So again, syllabus explaining in detail. Yes, this thing keeps falling out. Yeah, I know. You're wondering, like, what's he doing there? Is he checking in? Is it on? No, that's not what's going on. Yeah. So the syllabus explains right there. It's in writing, everything that you need to know. I think that that's important. I think it's a really, really great thing. I still do think that you as a teacher need to make sure that the students understand your personality and how things are going to be run in the classroom. I think that is absolute paramount. I think absolutely paramount. Way more important than the syllabus. The syllabus is informational in nature. You as a teacher, you're the communicator of that information. And there's a very, very big difference. Anybody can get information off of Google. We certainly are living in that society right now where people are, unfortunately and sadly, they just depend on Google for everything. We're just going to Google everything. And so when you're dealing with the syllabus, I think that is important, but I don't think it's as important as, again, the teacher setting the tone. All right, let's see if there's anything else here. All right, we have the style of the teaching methods. Again, that's going to take a little bit of time. Okay, let's see if people are disruptive. Can't have all that time. Okay, and there is this one comment. Hang on a minute here, please. It's a really, really good comment. Just give me a second. I got to find it. Sorry, my whole screen. Here he is. Okay. Okay. I also liked it. Blue Stripe Tiger says, I also liked it in college when the teacher said, do this for a C, this much for a B, and this for an A. And he's absolutely correct. Unfortunately, it doesn't translate well to the high school environment. It's unfortunately very, very true. And with college, it's certainly a lot different. I still think, I think that there are a lot of people in college that are not the best teachers. I think back to college. I remember one of my best teachers in college was my human biology teacher. And you're going to love this story. It's absolutely a classic story. So if you know me well, you know that I just do not do well with science. I've never done well with science. There's something about it. I just don't get it. I'm that person that was in the chemistry class where when I put the things into the beaker or whatever, the test tube or whatever, things literally exploded all over the place. Like that was me. There are just so many things when it has to do with things relating to anything medical, clueless, absolutely totally clueless, and all those big words and everything. But I remember I saw human biology, and it was the only class that was going to fit in my schedule. I'm like, oh my goodness, I got to take this. And I took the class with, I think it was like 5 or 6 other music education majors. I remember, and it's so true. I remember that the class dealt with anatomy at length, and anatomy with animals, but also anatomy with humans. Because they did talk about animals first, and then they went into humans. I remember, I'll never forget this. One of my my roommates, actually, he said, and I'm forgetting her name right now. Shame on me. I mean, she was an excellent teacher. She was so passionate, but she taught the class like it was like a great middle school or high school type class, but it was at the college level. And she didn't look like a college teacher. She just looked like she belonged in a middle school or high school, even in elementary school. And loved what she did, and really it was very important to her that everybody understood what she was saying. And I remember him saying, I've never met a teacher in my life where the teacher, a female teacher, could say the word penis in class and the entire class didn't giggle. And it's true. It really is true. Right from the very, very beginning, when she's saying all these different terms, there was nobody that was giggling. You didn't even bat an eye or anything, because she was just that great at what she did. So I think that's it's certainly one of my favorite things. All right. So, and I know we're 42 minutes in the episode, but again, what makes our podcast special is that it's you. And these are the people who are chiming in and getting involved. And I like to be able to ask those people what their feedback is. So now we're going to get into my views having to do with classroom management, having to do with just discipline, with respect, with rules in the classroom. Okay. So you are a teacher. You're starting off the school year. The students come into the room. The first thing, and it's very, very simple. I think really the best way to do this, I didn't plan this. I'm just going to do it the way that I would do it, as if students are going to come into the class. So what I'm going to do right now is I'm going to speak to you right now exactly as I would speak to a class. Let's just say a class of, I don't know, let's just say like a class of fifth graders who are walking into my music room for the very first time. Now, again, this would be a general music classroom. So we're not going to think about band, or we're not going to think about chorus, a general music classroom. So everybody in the class is required to take it. It serves as the preparation period for their homeroom teacher, who now gets to take a break, and the students then go to a music class, or the music teacher comes to them. So give me a second, just going to get a little swig of water here, and then I'm going to do my teaching thing as if I were teaching a fifth grade class for the very first time, as if I were teaching them like next week when school is going to be beginning. Hello, everyone. Oh, it's so great to see all of you. Welcome. It's so awesome. I hope you guys had the best summer in the world. My name is Mr. Rausenberger, and I know that's a really, really long last name, and you'll see it here on the board behind me, but you can call me Mr. R. And that's an easy way to remember my name. If you don't remember me from last school year, or you're new to the school, I'm sure that some of you who are new to the school, you might be a little bit nervous, but you have nothing to worry about. Nobody bites here. We have a lot of fun in the school, and I can tell you that you're going to be safe, and you're going to have a really, really great time. So before we get into class, I want to know a little bit more about all of you, and we need to start off by knowing all of your names. So what I'm going to do right now is I have my roster in front of me. I'm going to read off your names right now. And here's what you need to do for me. And we don't want to be silly about this, of course, but I'm going to read your name. And if I have a hard time pronouncing your name, you need to correct me. That's really, really important because our names really matter to us. And let me tell you something, boys and girls, with a name like Rausenberger, people have messed up my name more times than I can count. As a matter of fact, earlier today, somebody was calling me some type of thing. They were making me into a food again, and they were putting cheese all over me. And you know what? Your name does matter and you're important. So what I want you to do is when I say your name, and we don't make fun of each other, that's really, really important, that we respect one another in the class. And we know that some people have names that are a little harder to pronounce, and that's the reason why I want to give everybody the opportunity to be able to say their name out loud. And I'm going to do the best job that I possibly can. It's at that point, of course, they'll read off the roster, and I'll even sometimes with certain names, if I see a name like Christopher, I'll even say, do you go by Christopher? Do you go by Chris? Do you go by Fred? Would you like me to refer to you as a pineapple? When you do things like this, it makes the entire class more comfortable. It makes you relatable. It makes you fun. That's the goofy man up in front of the room, but I don't want to leave the class. I like being in here. This person's making the entire class fun, and I'm engaged. And they're not, a 9-year-old, a 10-year-old is not sitting back and I'm engaged right now. I know that I do not want to leave this class. No, that's not. It's just that's what's going on inside of their mind. That's the type of atmosphere that you want to create. Okay, so now I've gone through all of their names. Hopefully I haven't completely destroyed them, butchered them. And what I would then say is I want to tell you a little bit about myself. Now, it's going to, of course, it'll be different depending on the age group you're teaching. If you're teaching kindergarten, the way you're going to speak to kindergarten is going to be a lot different than fifth graders, going to be a lot different than middle schoolers, and certainly going to be a lot different when it comes to high schoolers and then college level. So if I talked about fifth grade, this is how I would do it in terms of presenting myself and talking. I would say something along these lines. Well, I have lived in New Jersey, state of New Jersey, my entire life, and I absolutely love it here. And I love working in this school district and in this school. This is one of my favorite places to be every single day because I'm going to be able to spend time with all of you. And I know I look really, really young, but you're going to be shocked when I tell you I've been actually teaching for 24 years. 24 years. Can you believe that? And I look so young. Don't I look amazing for 24 years of teaching? And when you start going along that way, it's not just, well, I've been teaching for 24 years, and you're going to have teachers that do that. You see how I did it? And you do it like that, and it just makes it a little more interesting. It adds a little more spark to it. And the way that I'm explaining it to you right now, it's exactly how I do it in the class. And I'm excited. Like, this is the greatest thing since sliced bread. It's the greatest thing since apple pie. And there's nowhere else on earth you need to be right now. This is all that matters. All of us being in here and having the best, we're going to have the best time for the next 45 minutes. And I say that, put on your seatbelts because here we go. We're going to have an amazing, crazy ride today. And we're going to do all these different types of fun things. So before we get into the school year, one of the issues, and this is a big, big problem with teachers all over the world, is they're too anxious to get right into things. Bad move. Very, very bad move. Unless you have gotten an absolute directive from an administrator saying you must start your content material on day one, unless that directive has come out, you as a professional need to make the professional decision that bonding with your students is a heck of a lot more important, way more important than, so this year we're going to be learning about Christopher Columbus, and we're going to talk about his expedition towards the Americas. I mean, give me a break. Again, you're just spitting information out. That's boring. You need to let them into your personality. You need to let them into what the class is going to be about. And when you start to do that, if you are able to put that personality into it, then laying out all of the expectations, laying out the rules, making sure that everyone's respectful, it's just going to happen. So when we talk about rules, we talk about that when the teacher's speaking, I have something really, really important that I have to say, and I don't want anybody to miss out on what I'm saying. So it's really important that when I am speaking, that nobody else is speaking in the class, because I don't want to have to repeat myself. I don't think that you would enjoy if I were speaking over you. And then now you reverse it with the student. You say, every time that you speak, I promise you, you will have the opportunity to speak yourself and no one's going to interrupt you. And I'm not going to interrupt you either. But I need the same respect in return. Can we all do that? Can you do that for me? How many of you think you'd be able to do that for me? That's a really easy thing, right? Can you raise your hand and let me know? And then that's a good opportunity to be able to see, is everybody actually raising their hand? You'll be shocked. There are going to be some kids that don't raise their hands. And you can very quickly identify some of them are maybe not paying attention in class. You're going to be able to know before you've even read up anything on those students in detail. And I say that because this is very early in the school year. We as teachers sometimes, the critical information that we need about students, we may just not have all of the information that we need on the very, very first day of school. Sometimes schedules may change at the last minute, or somebody may move in from another school district, and we don't have much information on that particular student. So it's critical that you understand as a teacher that you are scanning the room and getting an idea of the people in the room and who's getting it, who's staying on task, who's not focused right away. And if you don't think you're going to be able to remember, you better have a piece of paper out there and you better start jotting some things down and making sure that that you remember those little notes of who this person is, and oh, these two people are a little bit fidgety, or they're very, very chatty in class, and maybe I do need to separate them in the class. So that's in terms of a seating arrangement. In terms of something like a seating arrangement that you could actually even say to the class, and that'll be your decision as a teacher. Are you going to have a seating chart where you're going to go by gender in terms of where it's going to be? Are you going to do it but in order of last name? Person with last name, closest to A, first in the alphabet is sitting right over here and sitting over here. And establishing that type of information is not a bad idea either. And I think that that's really making me think about it when I'm looking over at this chat and hearing this. But I'm going to tell you something though, that when students know that you are putting your foot down, you're laying out the law in your classroom, and you're saying that I'm expecting respect in this class. When you say that type of thing, the thing that they're going to be going through their mind is they probably already know who that troublemaker is in the class, who's the person who's trying to get the extra attention. And they're going to be saying to themselves in their brain, what's the teacher going to do when the student starts to act up? Because more often than not, it's not in the first class. It may not even be in the second or the third class, but they know that student is eventually going to act up. And what is that teacher going to do about it? And you could be the hero in that child's life if you can actually be the person to put the big kibosh and be able to say, nope, this person is not taking over my classroom. It's not happening. And that's super, super important. That's a very, very big deal. Okay, so in terms of your classroom management, or were to go on in the lesson, if I were to talk a little more in the lesson about things that I would be doing again in a 5th grade classroom. So I've already gone through the roll call. I've already talked a little bit about a little bit about respect. Now, if I talk about classroom management, you don't say to a group of 5th graders, "Okay, this is the way that I teach classroom management." You don't say something like that. That's boring. Actually, you don't say that to any type of class. You just do it, and you go through essentials. Okay, so all right, so boys and girls, if you just let's just take a quick look around the room right now. Thank you again for those of you who are doing the thumbs up, by the way. Appreciate that. Make sure to give a thumbs up. I see a lot of you out there that are watching right now. Appreciate that. Make sure you're getting involved over in that chat. Try to answer some questions at the end. So thank you. So now we are in the classroom, and I am now going to talk to the students a little bit about things that are relating to classroom management. Specifically, what do you need to know as a student when you walk in the room and what's around? So I'll say, all right, let's take a look around the room. Let's see what we have around here. Okay, so first of all, this is a really, really important thing for me, boys and girls. How many of you, the place that you call your bedroom is really, really, really important to you? And everybody's going to raise their hand. How many of you in here having some privacy is really, really, really important to you, and you don't like being bothered, and you don't want to be bothered when you just want to be alone? Hands are going to go up, and you're going to say, well, you know what? I don't have a private place I can go into this classroom, but I'm going to tell you something that's really, really important to me as a teacher, and that's my desk. And my one request in the class is, when it comes to my desk, I'm going to ask you very respectfully not to touch anything on my desk, or not to go near my desk, or not to go behind my desk, whatever it's going to be, however the classroom setup is. And say, there are the rest of the room, all these different things are going to be available for you to use throughout the course of the year. We don't just go up to things. We always ask permission. That's a really big deal to me, because especially in a music classroom, there are a lot of items in this classroom that can break. And we don't want a type of situation where something breaks, boys and girls. So if you want to use something, and certainly if you want to try one of these instruments here, you do have to ask permission. And that's just a really basic rule. It's really no different than how many of you out there have an iPhone. Wait for the hands to go up. Okay, how many of you have an iPad? How many of you have a tablet or a computer, or you have a PS4? Okay, you drop something like a PS4, you say something like that in the classroom, there's going to be at least one kid that, if they don't have it, they know what it is. And now what you've done, now you've made yourself more relevant as a teacher, because now you are talking about things that have to do with society, that have to do with things that are not related to school. You drop things like a PS4 or Xbox, you say something like that in there. You go one step further, you start talking a little bit about sports, and you can say, hey, me personally, I'm a Messi fan. Oh my goodness. I mean, I have kids go crazy. Oh, that's the coolest thing. It's a music teacher, but he knows who Messi is. I mean, it's not even necessarily that you may love soccer/football. You may not love the sport, but just dropping the name, that's huge. That's a really, really big deal for kids, because they're saying, wow, this person's like, this is fun. This person likes the things that I like, and they know the things that I like. It's important. It's really, really important. Now, when you say these types of things, when you start talking a little more about the desk, about respecting my materials, they're going to listen to you. They're going to listen, because you are selling them something in the classroom, and they're buying into it. And when that happens, magic, absolute and complete magic. And in their eyes, you really can do no wrong. So you go through, if you're going to, you have something like perhaps those small, if you've seen the small xylophones, small marimbas, the little ones in those elementary classrooms, those are known as ORF instruments, ORFF. I'll just type that in the chat just because I can. So ORF instruments, Carl Orff was very, very famous. If you want a great piece of music, okay, here we go. Got to get a little bit of the music education plug in here. If you want a great, great piece of music that every single person in here, every person has heard this piece of music before, and I will actually type out, it is just one part of it, because that's he's known for those little instruments that are in the elementary classroom, and he also developed a whole teaching system with how it's an approach that you can use for teaching music in the classroom, Carl Orff. But the piece of music that he wrote is from a large-scale piece called Carmina Burana, and the first tune is called O Fortuna. All of you know it. You just may know it, but you didn't know it was called that. You didn't know who composed it. Guaranteed. Definitely when this podcast ends, check it out. You're going to be like, whoa, I know that piece of music. That's a great piece of music. It's only about 2 minutes long, and maybe you can even find a performance where you can see a full orchestra performing, and you can see all the singers out there and everything. Carl Orff's O Fortuna, Carmina Burana, big time, awesome, amazing piece. All right, so you will say to them, okay, so boys and girls, when we're in the classroom, we don't just go up and we don't just start hitting the instruments. If you want to play an instrument, I have no problem letting you play the instrument. We'll be able to do that, but you do have to ask my permission. That's my only rule. Simple as that. When you say that, and they understand that the items are expensive, it's not. Yes, you can go into the whole explanation, if you break it, you buy it, which in this particular case means that if they break something, that their parents are going to have to pay for it. I've heard a lot of teachers who will say that. They'll say, oh, well, if you break this, then your parents are going to be paying for it. You don't have to necessarily take that type of approach. And you can be firm about it. And I will say to students who are handling a trumpet for the first time, and say, boys and girls, you need to handle this like a baby. Would you ever drop a baby on his or her head? No, we would never do that. You need to treat your trumpet the same way. We need to treat the items in the classroom the same way. In terms of the respect, I talk about the 3 R's. Okay. And I think I've done a podcast. I know I've done podcasts, the audio ones for sure, about respect. So there are 3 different R's. You have to do them as a teacher in class. You've got to cover them. I don't care what the grade is. It does not matter. And they are worth repeating. So there are 3 different R's. Okay. So first of all, the first R that you want to talk about has to do with respecting others. Okay, so because you'll ask a class, you'll say, who are the most important people to respect? What are the most important people, or what are the most important things we need to respect? And a lot of times they'll say the teacher, they'll say parents, and then you'll have ones, actually a lot of times I'll hear the principal, which I find to be hilarious, because just the way that our educational systems are, unfortunately, with what principals and administrators are now being asked to do, they often are not able to get into classrooms as much as they would like to. Sometimes they just can't get in there at all. And it's funny when they'll say you need to respect the principal. Well, yeah, but you may only see the principal just a few times throughout the entire school year. So, okay, maybe you respect them because that person is a person that's an authoritative figure. But by the same token, who are the people that need to be respected? It's not just the teacher. More importantly, you need to get into the discussion of, we need to respect each other. And that doesn't mean we're married. And you say it, it's the perfect say to the 5th grader. You say you're not married to the person. Okay, we're not going to the movies together or anything. And and they'll start laughing and they'll start giggling. And you can say that, but at the same time, even though we have different interests and everybody has different types of things we like, we need to respect those things, because the things that you like, somebody else may not care for them as much. And that's totally okay. That's what makes us special, because we're all individuals. So when you say something like that, hopefully it's going to make somebody feel very, very special in that regard. So Respecting others, very, very big deal. Second thing, and this is a biggie, very, very important, especially in music classrooms, respecting the environment. Now, I'll say respecting the environment, and the kids, their minds will start to go, and they're like, okay, so now he's talking about trees. So I'll say to them, I'll say, okay, so we're not talking about please don't step on ants. We're not talking about making sure that we don't yeah, step all over and ruin the grass or decide to rip out flowers from the ground. We're not talking about that type of environment. We're talking about the classroom environment. We're talking about the environment in your homes. And I would say to them very, very simply, how many of you raise your hand, tell me something that's really, really important and it's valuable to you. So you find it whatever the item is. So let's say it's an Xbox. And I'll say to you, I'll say, okay, so how would you feel if I just came over to your house after school and I decided to just take a sledgehammer and I decided to just start destroying your Xbox or your PS4? How would you feel? I'd be really, really mad at you, or whatever the reaction is going to be. And then you need to turn around and say, well, listen, it's not just that some of these items are mine, they're also property of the school. And we don't have the money here at the school, which is usually the case. We don't have the money in the school to replace them. We need to get through the entire school year, so these are all intact. Now, if something breaks and it's not intentional, that's different. But we don't want to be in a situation where we're making bad decisions, we're making bad choices, and potentially hurting different items around the classroom. And you can talk about, we don't just go up and start banging on a piano. We can actually do damage to that instrument. And you can go around and pick out whatever it is that's going to work best for you in your situation as a teacher. But the number one having to do with respect has to do with respecting yourself. And this is one of my favorite things I love to do to kids. Again, the goofy factor is a big deal. And you say to your students, when you're talking about respecting yourself, that does not mean that you take this arm like this and you take this arm like this and you go, oh, I just love myself. Now, obviously, that's really weird, but I'll do that with kids and they start to laugh. And I'll say, that's not, because if you're doing that, that's a little bit weird, boys and girls. I think we can agree with that. Okay, you start walking down the hallway. Oh, I really love myself. And again, you do it like the second time, they're going to laugh again. Now, you don't keep on doing it over and over, then we're getting off track. But they're going to remember that. They're going to remember that goofy thing. And then you say, when we're talking about respecting ourselves, it has to do with the decisions we're making in the class. Are you making good decisions? Are you making decisions that are wise decisions, or are they the types of decisions that are going to disrupt the class? Are they the types of decisions that are going to hurt people's feelings? Are they going to be decisions that are going to hurt you in some type of way where you're going to get yourself into trouble? And that's what we need to talk about, respecting yourself, because if you don't respect yourself, how can you respect anyone else? If you don't love yourself, how can you love anyone else? Now, the love part, I won't necessarily say in a classroom, but I certainly will say the respect one, because that works. And that's just as effective. You don't need to get into saying the word love at all. It's not necessary. But just saying the word respect in the classroom, that's really, really key. It's a very, very big deal. And the shame of it is, and it makes me sad, that some of you who are going to be going back to school next week, you may have some teachers, unfortunately, that are not doing a lot of things I talk about. And I don't really have much of an answer for that. And I'm sorry. I'm sorry that you're going to, unfortunately, have people where you have these expectations and you wind up saying to yourself, oh, it's the same old situation. I'm just going to have to get through the class. And this person, all they're doing is really just spitting out information. And it's just a regurgitation. And I have to regurgitate back to them on a test. And that's the class. And this is going to be so boring. And unfortunately, there are those instructors out there. But you do have from time to time that instructor that you can see is just so passion, just loves what they do. And it's the most important thing to them. And every single day they wake up, they just love what they're doing. I'm certainly one of those people. I always have been, I always will be someone who wakes up in the morning and I just cannot wait to go out and motivate and inspire and get people excited about learning. And in my particular case, it has to do with learning about music. And we sometimes throw a little thing here and there about life. So as we kind of wrap up the episode here, before I give away the Amazon gift card, I haven't been looking at the chat too much lately. So Alice is going to kind of whip up her amazing stuff over here and try to figure out who the Amazon gift card is going to be going to. Let me just see if anybody kind of chimed in here, jumped into the episode since I was talking. I was talking directly into here. I'm trying to give you my everything, and we can check things out. And Natalia, I appreciate you telling us that you loved food. That's how far back I am here. Assuming Jared says we need to do another food review episode. You guys think I should do another food review episode? I did burgers already. Should I do another food review episode? And it has to be something where I go to a whole bunch of different types of places. He's recommending chicken sandwich taste tests. You're talking about Palo, right? Palo? Or is it? Pollo. Okay. So we'll see. Maybe we could do that. But if you have some other suggestions, we could do that. All right. So love food. All right. Let's take a look here. Let's see what other. We had some other people that kind of jumped in here. Okay. So we got Fixed Prestige over here. It's a new person, which is great. Let's see. Okay. Let's see if I have any. Dennis Isayev. I don't know who that is. Well, hello, Dennis. Good to see you here today. Let's see. There's Michelle chiming in as usual. Oh, hello, Mary. Mary, great to see you here tonight. I'm glad you were able to stop by once again. Terrific. Let's see. We had a few comments that were a little bit silly here. That came in. Okay, let's see if I have any others. I'm just trying to find some that we may have possibly missed. Okay. So let's see what we got here as far as our gift cards. Okay. All right. All right. Looks like we have a winner here tonight. This is great. Okay. And just a quick reminder, and I hate doing this, and I'm certainly not going to end the episode on a sour note. We had this situation. It happens, unfortunately. This is what happens when you have a live episode. And this is why I have an amazing, incredible moderator in Alice, who does not put up with any nonsense whatsoever. But hopefully the people that did kind of jump in here and were making some inappropriate comments, because we want to make sure that doesn't happen. We don't allow those comments to go through. We have a great moderator who takes care of that nonsense. But what I do then is I follow up the episodes, and I just want you to know, and I'm gonna incorporate it into my classroom management episodes. See how I'm doing this here, making it all happen. A little segue going on here. Okay, what basically is going to happen is if you don't behave, then there are going to be consequences. And I do always follow through my consequences. So you do have to understand that if you make bad decisions, and you make a bad decision to come into my live podcast, which is something that's very, very near and dear to me and very important to the people who are in here, who are participating, there are going to be consequences. And these particular consequences involve contacting Google and YouTube. And then I also take that information and I ask them to contact appropriate law enforcement because it is a violation of YouTube's policies, and especially if using inappropriate language and things of that nature, because we do want to make this into a safe place. So, and I have done that, unfortunately. I do know that Google, YouTube, they have followed up on that. To take this stuff very, very seriously, because quite honestly, they love these episodes. The fact that we do this type of stuff because it brings more people to YouTube ultimately in the end. And it is a privilege for me to be able to present this each week to you, that YouTube allows me the opportunity to have this type of platform. And I am unbelievably, incredibly grateful that I'm able to do that. So I appreciate it. So, okay. All right. So we have a winner here for the $15 Amazon gift card. And I appreciate all these amazing comments here that we have tonight. So let's see if we can do this. Okay. Thank you, Orange Juice. I appreciate that. Love that painting in the back. I love this painting too. How great is this painting, right? This is Lee Reynolds, by the way. Lee Reynolds. It's a guy over here. I can't really see it. Let me see if I can get it. There we go. Okay. My head's gone. The top of my head's gone. I'm just going to be a little bit goofy here for a little while. There we go. I'm just going to have just my eyes. Is that weird? Okay. Anyway, so Lee Reynolds, that's who this is. And they're pretty big. And say hello to Killer Joe. Yes, I know exactly who Killer Joe is. Hey, the great Dante has arrived. You know what? I just say that it's not just Dante, it's Dante's Inferno. See what I did there? Dante, I have to ask you, do you know about Dante's Inferno? Please say yes. Please say yes. You're going to make my life complete if you know Dante's Inferno. So please give me something there. It would be so wonderful. And Jared, I'm so happy. Of course, Dante knows. Yes. All right. Of course, no, Dante knows all about that. Yes. And Jared, I'm glad that you have the Giants game on. Anybody who saw me today knows that I had the Eli Manning jersey rocking. Thank you very much, Daniel Jones. You can just wait your turn. Got a little Eli action. He's got plenty left in the tank. I am a very, very big Giants fan. You know what I need to do? I need to put up a whole bunch of sports memorabilia in the background. What do you guys think of that? Are you guys okay with that? I'm going to put up sports memorabilia. I'm going to have jerseys all over the place and all different types of things having to do with sports. Any thoughts? What do you think? Yes, no, maybe so. Change the background up a little bit. We got the same picture going on, picture episode after episode. Maybe we can get some sports stuff going on in the background. We can do a episode, actually. That might be fun to do. So, okay, Jets stuff, unfortunately, is not going to be happening, Alice. Unfortunately, I do not support teams that have not won. Oh, my goodness. They haven't won a Super Bowl in 50 years. That's true. We do not support the Jets. That is not. Oh, I went there. Oh, I really went there, Alice. I'm going to be in the doghouse tonight. That is, boy, oh, boy. That is, oh, I went there. That is one losing franchise right there. So there you go. All right, what's cool? The end of September, Rugby World Cup will begin. Okay. Do a giveaway on some sports stuff. Okay. All right. That's cool. All right. Is there anybody here who would like to see me, out of the kindness of my heart, would anybody like to see me give away an Amazon gift card tonight? Just type in me. You got me. Moi. Yes. So let's see. Does anybody want me to give away an Amazon gift card tonight? $15 variety. $15. Anybody know how much that is in pesos? I'm curious to know. How many pesos is $15? I have no clue. Maybe you can help me out here. A savory snack eating panel. Savory snack eating panel. I love this. All right. This is great. Dante says probably over 110. So I guess 110 pesos. I guess we're talking approximately, I guess we're talking about what, 7 pesos to the dollar? Is that what we're dealing here? That's 7 pesos to the dollar. Okay. And Sinus, because I'm famous, I am not famous. I am just me. I don't know what I am. I'm not sure. I don't know who I am at that point. So I'm not really sure. Jared, what I do have is I do have an LSU Odell Beckham jersey. Good luck finding it. It looks like a Vikings jersey. It is purple and it is fantastic. fantastic attenting with the comment of the night. Don't eat my crackers. That was said this week. I love it. Don't eat my crackers. Anybody, there are a lot of people in the chat who know what that means. All right, here we go. Let's get some drum rolls going. Let's get some drum rolls. The Jets are not making the playoffs this year. It's not happening. My Giants will be taking the division. Thank you very much. Here we go. Hey, drum roll, please. And Natalia A has won the $15 Amazon gift card. Congratulations to Natalia A. And thank you so much for contributing and being involved in the chat tonight. You were absolutely outstanding, and we appreciate you being here and seeing all of you every single night being involved in here. I think it's just absolutely incredible. I hope you guys again enjoyed the episode. This one, of course, is a little bit tougher for some of the students because it's like, oh my goodness, it's going to be some of my classroom management stuff. So hopefully I was able to make this a little bit fun for you and be able to make it somewhat entertaining. And you were able to kind of see what I'm able to present to you as a teacher in a classroom. And just out of curiosity, is there anybody here that would like to see me in an episode actually literally teach a lesson as if you were in a class with me? Is there anybody who would like to see me do that? Because I can do that. I can spend an episode and just for like a full episode, just straight up just teach a class. All right, so you guys can give me, I see we have some people that would like to see that. Okay, so absolutely. And you can pick the topic and cover whatever you'd like me to do it. She didn't get to see my class last year. I know. And Michelle, you're amazing. And we got to spend some time together last year in chorus, as I know. Yes, Esther, we can do all these things. We have lots of things. We'll get the cooking episode. Just need to maybe calm down just a little bit there with the cooking episode. A tennis match. Yes, right here. I'll do it right here in my. You know what I have? I'll tell you something before you leave, Michelle. You're gonna love this, and anybody else that there likes tennis. I got this device. I'm able to bring it into school. I got this device. It's got a tennis ball, and there's a string attached to it, and you hit the tennis ball, and the thing comes back to you. It's this really cool thing. I found it. I don't know where it was. I don't know where I found it, but it's this thing, and the ball just comes like right back to you. It's this really, really incredible device. So, yes, I will bring it in, Michelle. Okay, definitely. We'll definitely. Okay. All right, so Middle Eastern food, not sure how well that will work. I'm not sure if the digestive system would enjoy that, if I would be able to make it through the entire episode. You guys are absolutely simply the best. Do you guys like this? Are you like into this? Is this too much? Is this too serious? Come on, give me some feedback on this. I have to know. Do you like it? Do you like this whole blazer thing? Do you think I look all professional and stuff? Do you like it? Is that something that's going to work for you? Now, next week, we can definitely we're going to get this going on here. Yes. Okay. So I'm professional. You know, I try to be. I try my best. You guys are absolutely the best. Thank you again for yet another outstanding episode, and I really, really appreciate it. I cannot do these episodes without you. Thank you so much for your support. Make sure to bang that like button, and most importantly, the episode's going to end very, very shortly. Once the episode ends, please, I beg you, please put a comment down below, anything that you could say about the episode. That would be absolutely totally incredible. And to that, I just have one last thing to say to you. Peace.